Ian Brownhill, welcome to Not Safe for Work.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for making the time for us.
Of course.
You are an internet sensation. Known as the New England guy, you have 85,000 followers on Instagram, almost a milli on TikTok. You're a local roadie guy. What else is happening with you?
Well, not a whole lot. A lot of content creating and not much else, but yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself for those who might not know who you are.
Okay. Well, my name obviously Ian Brownhill. I'm from Rhode Island. I grew up in Westerly. I'm 31. Got
Ooh.
two older brothers. I went to Hendricken for high school for 2 years, and then I ended up graduating from Westerly, where I grew up. The other 2 years, went to CCRI quite a few times. Had a small stint in Miami, Florida for a bit, and then I landed back here in the little roadie because, you leave and you come back.
Right.
But yeah.
Always come home. So about, minus the backstory, who are you? What do you like to do? What do you do for fun?
Oh, it's kind of complex, but I'm an actor, content creator, goofball, and I'm an introvert who likes to be extroverted, as odd as that sounds. But most of the time, I'm usually just home by myself on my phone or a computer or TV or creating stuff or working on things. And then, when I make my content, that's when the artistic extrovert side comes out, or if I'm out and about with friends, family, out on the town having a bite to eat or something like that, that's when I become a little more extroverted. But other than that, I pretty much keep to myself.
So, speaking of your content, everyone I think would recognize you from TikTok. That's like your most prominent platform.
Yeah.
When did you first download TikTok?
August of 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before it blew up.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I think we downloaded it during COVID. I think that was when, because I was home, I was like, let's check this out.
Right.
So when did you decide to start making content on it? Like right away, or?
Yeah. So the story kind of goes like when I was, I don't know, like 18 or 19. I grew up with like Facebook or MySpace and then Facebook, and then Instagram kind of hit the market, and Instagram was like cool and it was like fun. And then that's like really when the, whole term influencer got, popular. And as I started like noticing what was going on, that's when Vine first hit the scene. And when Vine hit the scene, I was like, this is like really cool. I could see myself doing this one day, but I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to do it. So when I was in Miami, I really gave a crack at becoming like a fitness influencer on Instagram.
Oh.
So I got like my personal training certification. I worked at Equinox. I was like the really douchey guy that posted like short shorts and shirtless pictures on the beach and made it seem like my life was so glorious, but really it was like not that great, and it wasn't like super successful. And obviously, as I'm sure everyone in this room probably knows, fitness influencing is a very overly saturated market that is like not of a huge interest to a ton of people. And I didn't think that it really reflected like my true, like who I really was, as far as my passion for health and wellness was concerned. I was like just trying to like fit in with what I thought would be popular.
Right.
So I kind of gave up on that. So then fast forward 2019, Vine had crashed. My influencer days were behind me with the fitness stuff, and I kind of just, used Instagram. And that's when TikTok kind of like first started showing up like in the news, and I heard people talking about it. And I downloaded it once, I watched it, and I was like, oh, hell no, this is super addicting. Like I've been on the phone, I was like, delete. And then a couple of days went by, and I was hanging out, and I downloaded it again. And then I kind of kept it. And that's when I was like sitting there, and I was starting to think to myself, now I had gotten back into acting at this point, and I was like, this is kind of like Vine. This might actually be the next thing.
Right.
I missed the YouTube wave. I missed the Instagram influencer wave. Is this going to be the next one? Should I try and jump in on this? So I was back and forth with it, and then I started creating a couple videos, deleting them, made a few, thought they were funny. I was like, not so much.
Right.
And then finally, I kind of just like went for it. And, I tried a lot of different things, and being an actor, there was a side of TikTok where people would do like lip singing. They would do scene reenactments. I was doing monologues. I was practicing, trying to get out there, because I knew as an actor it's incredibly important to be able to market yourself and have a brand. And I was like, maybe this is a way for me to start building my brand. So I jumped in on it, and I hate saying this every time I say it, but for me, COVID was a blessing in disguise for my TikTok career, because everyone was home, and TikTok, you make right on your phone right then and there in real time. So it didn't really require me to go out and do a lot of dangerous things and put people at risk. So I started just creating TikToks nonstop, and the rest is kind of history.
Right. I feel like during that time, it was the easiest way for you to build a portfolio. It's the easiest way to just send your TikTok link to recruiters or whoever you have to send that to.
Yeah, exactly. So because like the acting world kind of just like dulled down, a lot of people that I knew in the acting world, they're like, oh, I'll get on TikTok. I'll get on TikTok. But at this point, I had already had 6 months under my belt and a small following. And people who already knew how to use TikTok to its fullest potential, we were pumping content out like crazy. So I kind of had a leg up on the competition in that aspect. So it just kind of gave me the ability to reach that next level of being able to get that exposure.
Right.
So what video made you go viral? Because I think I know which one it is because I saw it.
So I think as far as my being recognized for a particular video, it's gonna be my day before Halloween snow video when I'm cleaning the snow off my car and my flip flops. That was that was probably the 7th or 8th video I made trying to do this New England character. It wasn't the very first one. And I probably made about like 10 more, but I deleted them because I didn't like them. I didn't think they were funny. I was like, I can do more and explore the character. But I think the combination of everybody being home, it was snowing early, the obnoxious shorts and flip flops, the really bad accent, it was, just a lucky combination.
It was just like perfect timing, I feel like.
That's really all it is.
Yeah.
TikTok and social media is really just about timing.
But I feel like TikTok back then was much different than what it is now.
Oh, yeah.
As far as like how you create videos.
I miss it.
It was
so much easier. It was easier. It was more fun. You weren't super stressed about it. You kind of just put whatever you felt like was going to work and be out there. And I think what was really cool about TikTok when it first started is that it allowed everyone from every different type of artistic ability to like reach their audience, and it wasn't so secluded to just what it is now. It's like the fact that you have like all these A-list celebrities creating content and they're the ones who get the views is like, it's kind of frustrating because like you're already there, let the rest of us have our 15 seconds of fame to connect with people and make friends and whatnot. But yeah, it's definitely easier then.
When did you realize that you're like, okay, I can make a career out of this?
I think, honestly, like when I hit about 100,000 followers on TikTok, that was like the first time I had like a company reach out for UGC style content, and I made like I think it was like a dating app.
Oh.
It was like what it's like to date during COVID, and it was like, oh, like chat here, and it was pretty cool, and I made like $150, and I was like, what? This was like awesome, you know? It was super cool. So. But again, I think from the start, I kind of always had the intention to want it to be like a career or try and make a living off of it because, with the acting being such an incredibly competitive industry, I knew that the best way to have a leg up in today's market is to have tons of followers because you're taking away the aspect of them having to market you because you're already marketing yourself because people know who you are through your social media. So when I jumped on this TikTok train, I was like, I gotta find a way to make money and create this as part of my business, as part of my acting career. And it has done so much better than I ever could have imagined. And I'm obviously incredibly grateful for it. So this has actually become more of a priority than my acting stuff for now. So
wow.
So would you consider yourself an influencer? Would you use that word?
I don't like the term influencer personally,
Okay.
but I think to generally speak, most people would go, oh, it's an influencer. But I consider myself a content creator.
Okay.
Specifically because I don't necessarily create any particular style of content that I think is influential in any capacity. I try to do more comedic skits, relatable conversations. If you look at some of my first videos and you watch just every 6 months how my videos have had to change in order to keep up with the trends and the styles, there's a lot of variable things at play. So it's tough for me to be like, oh, from the get-go, I've like, someone who's a friend of mine is like Michaela Noguera, who is like but she's makeup, you know what I mean? Like she's always been makeup. Makeup is her thing. She's an influencer in the sense that she's influenced millions of people towards particular makeup brands, brushes, products, whereas I'm kind of just more like sometimes you laugh, if I do a good job with like my acting stuff, maybe you'll have an emotional experience, you know,
Right.
whatever it might be. But so content creator is what I
term you
prefer.
prefer.
Yeah. But you know, I'm not gonna be so picky about it. It's not a big deal.
Is there anything that you don't like about being a content creator?
Um, I mean, no, I think everyone who has ever pursued something that they really enjoy and are passionate about and they turn it into a career, at some point they do have that feeling of, ugh, it's still work.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm human, so of course I have my bad days, but it's really hard for me to justify looking in the mirror and being like, okay, I work from home, I work for myself. No one can really tell me what to do, how to do it, when to do it, you know, and I'm able to work with incredible brands and wonderful people. So having that ability is like pretty amazing. So I try not to get too full of myself in the sense that like, you know, making it my work in that sense.
Right.
But I don't know if there's anything I don't really like. It's just there is always that risk of the fact that you are in the public eye. So, you know, like we were discussing before we even jumped on here, you know, like people who are just like kind of mean.
Yeah.
I think, you know, this is what I don't enjoy the most is the fact that I'm constantly on my phone.
There you go.
You
Your
know,
screen time must
yeah,
be
it's unbelievable,
insane.
and it's a 20, you know, it's a 24-hour job, you
Right.
know, and it's not incredibly straining, but it is a 24-hour job. You know, it's every day of the week. You're on your phone, you're trying to watch stuff, and you know, there's that really rough balance of being a consumer versus being a creator. You're
Right.
trying to find that happy medium where you're not watching too much, or you're not creating too much, and you're missing everything that is popular and not creating content that's relatable and on brand with what's trending at the moment. But then I have my days where I'm like, man, I watched 6 hours of TikTok and I didn't make anything, and now I feel like
Right.
numb and I don't want to create and
Right.
those type of things. But I think the overconsumption of social media for me is probably the biggest downfall because
I
I'm kind of a
agree.
nature guy, honestly. If I could, I'd be off my phone in the mountains and not anywhere near a phone.
Yeah, I don't
That's
blame.
ironic.
don't blame you.
considering That's your job.
And I feel like you have it's almost like a constant state of like paranoia because your self-image
Right.
is everything. Like
Right.
depending on like what one person says could like snowball. We've seen it happen with other content creators.
Right. Right. Which is why, like, for me, like, specifically, like, I mean, considering what the world has been through in, like, the last 3 years, there hasn't been, I think maybe one, maybe two slightly suggestive videos have ever come up on my page that I've created that have been anything related to any controversial, political, or any, you know, any sense of that kind of reality
Right.
conversation happening. Like, I completely stay clear of anything like that just to ensure that my page is just, when people come, they're just there to have a laugh. Hopefully, if I
Right.
do a good job,
Yeah.
they're there to have a laugh, and then they can, you know, move on. I don't want anything more than that.
Right. So what are the brands that you're currently partnered with and doing stuff with?
Duncan. No, I work with Duncan, which has been, you know, amazing. I've worked with Seasons Corner Market here in the New England area, the Rhode Island Lottery, Iggy's Clam Cake Chowder House in Warwick, Rhode Island, and I've worked with a ton of awesome other companies like that kind of come and go. Right now, I'm also working with Nesson, New England Sports
Nice.
Network, which has been like, you know, a surreal experience. And it's also given me avenues to work. Like I work with the New England Patriots during the season. Quite a few.
Nice.
Quite a few. So but I'm like, you know, knock on wood. This chair's made of wood, I hope. It's
Plastic.
been really cool. It's been amazing. So
Do they kind of tell you what they want you to post, or do they just say, okay, like we want to work with you, and you just make content for us? How does that kind of work?
I think it's a balance of both. When I first started making content for brands, I did realize, like right off the rip, that like people were still trying to figure out how this actually works. So they were putting a lot of trust in me. And what I was realizing is the individual I was interacting with may have liked the content, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily aligned with the brand. So, and nowadays my approach is always like, you know what my content is, you know what my characters are, you know what I'm capable of. How do you see your brand fitting in that? What kind of messages do you want me to portray? And what are the deliverables that you would expect from me on my end? So it's like, it's kind of like a little bit of like a give and take where I create what I want, but I try and wrap it around what they're asking.
That's not a bad gig.
Yeah.
You get to have that creative freedom.
Yeah.
But speaking of creative freedom, we have to talk about your thirst traps. You knew they were coming.
Thank you for having me.
I just need to know, like, what's going through your head when you're either thinking of making these or, like, actually doing them and posting them. Like, what are you thinking?
Okay. So I'll try and keep this short, but let's get in depth a little bit about
We
this.
don't need to
So-
keep it short.
We have all day.
We need
Yeah.
the full answer, because you do a little bit of, like, Peaky Blinders, Vikings.
Right.
I'm sure the Captain America.
Yeah.
So you do a little bit of everything.
All right, so the story kind of goes like, so when I was growing up, right, let's just say this. I was a late bloomer, okay? I was a little overweight, didn't have a lot of girlfriends growing up, wasn't like necessarily the popular kid, had a lot of friends, you know, and like people were always nice to me. It wasn't like, I wasn't like super picked on, you know, like a normal, not, you know, born in the 90s type of millennial. Like,
Okay.
you know, that was my normal upbringing, but I wouldn't say that I was like super popular amongst like women and you know trying to get dates and stuff like that. So I definitely grew up an incredibly insecure person.
Okay.
So fast forward to getting, you know, a little bit older, being able to grow facial hair, thank God, and you know, finding a little bit of popularity through the app. I've never seen myself that way or as that person, and I can promise you, I cringe more, and I'm more embarrassed than anyone that's watching the video, especially if they know me. But it was kind of one of those things where I just kind of noticed when I was doing, like when I started the Captain America cosplay, it's because I'm like a nerd. Like I love Captain America. Like it's awesome. And I was doing more like the acting scenes. It wasn't like I was doing these thirst trap sounds when I first started, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, I had like my shield and I'm like, you know, talking, you know, to all the other Avengers and I'm like in my room, which is probably, might be even worse than, I don't know which one's worse, but I was having a ball. I was by myself in my house.
So it started off innocent.
Right. It started off innocent. And then I think there was like just a few times where like I noticed that the particular character was getting more of a thirst trap style attention. And I was like, let me explore this a little bit.
Why not?
And being human and also being in the acting world and noting like sex sells, I was kind of like, let me explore this a little bit more. And that part of me that first started doing the thirst traps definitely was like that insecure boy that was like, wow, I'm actually getting attention. And I've always said this, and my girlfriend calls me crazy, but I'm very real with myself. And I've always said that I believe personally that I am just an acquired taste. And what I mean by that is when I have dated, I've never been like out somewhere where it's like, there's like a ton of girls throwing themselves at me.
Okay.
I've always noticed that it's always one particular person who is really fond of me and thinks that I'm very attractive. And like, that's who like I link up with. It's never been like, oh, he's objectively attractive or anything like that. I've always been like, either they really think I'm hot, for a lack of a better term, or they don't. And that's like kind of always been my experience. So being on TikTok, I feel like my look kind of navigated itself to an audience of people who thought that I was attractive. So it was an abundance of attention that kind of flowed in like right away. And being human, I was like, oh, of course attention feels good. But I also saw it as a huge way to capitalize on that side of marketing myself, the appearance. So I turned the cosplay character because of like, you know, Captain America into kind of the thirst trappy thing. And then I love Peaky Blinders and I was doing it, and then people would make suggestive comments about it, and how they love Thomas Shelby and how they liked the way I looked in this. And I was like, very cool. So when it first started, it was very innocent. And then I definitely got a little bit of an inflated ego where I was like, it was really nice to get the attention. But then I was like, okay, I got to twist this and turn it into a business.
Right.
And start to grow my audience that way. And I was fortunate enough to be successful in that way. And then there was one particular woman who reached out about being on the cover of like her romance novel book. And that's kind of where it really took off, because once I did the book and she marketed me to her audience, then more people came over. I got a few more book covers, and then it all kind of happened that way. So it definitely had me on a high at first. So when I was creating them, I wouldn't lie, you know, I'm not going to lie. Like I was through the roof with confidence, like making them.
Right.
But now it's like,
up like that from
I
left to
would.
right.
right.
It's
Yeah.
hard not to.
Right. But now I'm kind of more in the wheelhouse of like, this is just part of like, you know, marketing, you know, it's like you look at someone like Ryan Reynolds and stuff like that, or I don't know, Bradley Cooper, Jake Gyllenhaal, all these guys. It's like they understand that at some point in the year they have to do their GQ photo shoot for the, you know, and they thirst themselves out and they try and act as sexy as they can, but it's really just part of their persona. It's not really, you know, again, I still think inside I'm more that insecure boy, and I cringe more when I make these than anybody else. So
I just had to know because I feel like you've been doing a little bit more of the thirst trap kind of stuff lately, but then you'll like pull away for a little and you'll do New England content or you'll do partnerships, but thirst traps are there.
yeah,
They're there.
it's because it's like, I created an audience in so many different levels of my following. Like it started with the acting, then I did a ton of Office and Friends skits, then I did my own original content, then the thirst traps came in, then the cosplay, then the wearing the wig and being my mom or my girlfriend.
Yeah.
So I built an audience of so like different videos that caught the attention of different followers, and I try to keep filling each bucket so that they're not like unfollowing me or getting sick of it. Like someone who might have followed me for a thirst trap and be like, okay, this New England guy is really annoying,
Right.
and then I do the New England guy, and then people are like, you were the guy in the flip-flops, why are you looking at me like that through the camera? You know what I mean? So it's trying to just find the balance of everything.
That's fair.
So because you're always marketing yourself, you've become really candid about the fact that you don't drink.
Right.
You want to talk about that?
Sure, yeah. I didn't have my first drink till I was 21.
Good boy.
Yeah, I didn't have my
Can't
first
say
drink
the
till
same.
yeah, not many can.
No.
I didn't have my first drink till I was 21, and then from 21 to 24, I had a little bit of fun.
Were you in Miami at that time?
I was, yeah, but
Okay.
I didn't really drink much in Miami because Miami is like a crazy party scene. It's not like casual drinking there. Like if you're gonna
no.
drink, you have to you drink to forget who you are. And I was
Yeah.
like, that was not me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I was drunk after like 2 beers.
yeah,
Very much a
That's
like,
enough.
yeah.
Good.
You know,
date.
so and then here's the funny story was the reason why I stopped drinking again was I was drinking during the beginning of the Super Bowl. Actually, today's what? Today's 328. Shout out
Yes.
to the Pats.
There's
But I was drinking in that Super Bowl. We were down obviously 3-28, and I was so pissed off that the Patriots are about to lose the Super Bowl. I was like, this is our year. I was miserable. And I had gone to the playoff games too. And I had spent like a fortune to go to all the playoff games. I thought this was our year. And I didn't drink anything. At halftime, I got pissed off. I was like, I'm done drinking. Like, this is so annoying. Then the comeback happened.
You have
And I said to myself,
celebrate.
I'm never going to touch it again.
No, it was like superstitious.
That was like
Oh
a
my
superstitious
God.
thing.
So you were like the opposite. You're like, I'm never gonna drink.
Never
that.
going to touch it again. And I haven't touched
You're like,
it.
I
didn't touch.
you.
Yep, I didn't touch any alcohol until May of last year when I was at the Guinness factory in Dublin, and I had like 3 sips, and that was like it.
Well,
Because
yeah.
I was like, you gotta have Guinness, like
Yeah,
the
Right.
yeah.
right. But and that was it. I haven't, so it's been whatever that is, 6-7 years now.
So you can thank the Patriots for that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow.
But I've never been like a drinker. I honestly, I don't like the taste. I don't like being not in control. I'm not a huge fan of it. And, I come from a background of, people who have drank in my past. So I wanted to break that cycle and try and, do better for myself personally. But it's also one of those things when you grow up and you're like, oh, I don't drink. It's like always odd to me that I have to explain to people why I don't
Right.
drink. Like I'm the weird one.
Right.
It's like, well,
It's never like a good for you. It's always like, well, why?
exactly.
But I feel like that's the fact that you're kind of talking about it more now on
Mhm.
TikTok, very subliminally, which
Right.
is good. It's more relatable to people, I feel, because
Yeah.
there
People could be in
are
the same situation.
there's a
Right.
ton of people that don't drink, and they're
Right.
like, well, why are you asking me why I don't drink? I'm not asking you why you drink.
Exactly.
So I feel like that's good to kind of
Mhm.
weave in because a lot of people aren't drinkers like you would think.
Right.
So it's good that you kind of, go hand in hand with everybody.
Right.
But we're going to switch gears a little bit.
All right, let's switch it up.
I want to know, so you said that you have a girlfriend,
Yes.
but she is a mystery to your followers. And
Yes.
I know you have a girlfriend because we are friends outside of this.
Yes.
But you've mentioned her a few times here.
Yes.
So does she not want to be mentioned in your influencing or content creating? Does she just kind of want to stay in the scenes? Is that a choice that you made? Like, how does that go?
I think it's like a little bit of like both. Of course, like we're in a relationship, so of course communication occurs, especially of course like doing thirst traps and stuff like that. So she sees comments. Her
Right.
friends, of course, tell her about the comments on my page and things like that, of course. But I think ultimately when I first started making content, I actually did have her in, a few videos. And I did notice as I was, slowly gaining a little bit of followers that, people would follow her as well as me. Which wasn't necessarily like a problem, but when I started seeing comments from people like, oh, she's so lucky to have you, I was like, oh no, that doesn't work for me because
Yeah.
it's very much the opposite. But like, that's not what this is about. And she's not necessarily a huge social media user. And, for me, I just thought, I don't want people to be involved in my personal life. I just thought that for me personally, being able to protect the sanity of my relationship and what's going on would be much better for my personal mental health.
Right.
But it's not like, if people ask me if I have a girlfriend, I'm always like, oh yeah, no, I have a girlfriend. I certainly would never deny it or anything like that.
Right.
She's love of my life. So there's nothing to hide there. But, it just, ultimately I thought it was the better choice for me, at least starting my career for now.
And I feel like a lot of content creators are going that route, and even just like people with not as big of a following as you, keeping your relationship and your private life offline,
right?
It's just more successful that way.
Yeah,
as well.
Because
Just
and
be a
that's why I
strong
want to treat it like a
relationship.
business too.
Exactly.
It's like this is my work,
exactly
and
what it is.
that's all it is to me. It's not my life. It's not what happens around my family,
Mhm.
dinner table during the holidays, So
I feel like people don't understand that social media is your job. So
Mm.
naturally, if you want to keep that private, you're not going to post about her or post
Right.
about things that you've done on your social media page because that's not what your business is.
Right.
So people forget that this is a business, and you
Right.
don't take your husband to work, you don't take your partner to work,
Right,
So like
right.
this is what your work is, and just because you're not posting about your relationship doesn't mean that it's not good or that you don't have one or that you're embarrassed by it. And
Right.
I think that just gets lost
Of course.
in a lot of things. But being in the position that you're in,
Mm.
is it hard to kind of keep a balance between your work and your personal life? Do you find it difficult?
I think, no, not really. I mean, it's because it's such an intertwined type of career, like lifestyle.
Right.
Being that it is like a 24/7 thing, I never necessarily have to like turn it on or turn it off. It's kind of just like if I put my phone down, then the content stops. If I pick it up, the content begins, and that's kind of really it. And so far, I haven't had any, reasons to have any of my work get involved in my personal life that it would be interruptive or intrusive or cause any kind of issue, And I don't know, I think I've just done a good job in my personal life over the years being able to separate myself. I've had a lot of jobs and a lot of careers leading up to this. So I've learned along the way to how to separate, work from life.
What were some of your careers besides this?
Let's see. I was a barber for a while, personal trainer, a lot of sales. I worked in banking quite a bit. I worked for like Citizens, Wells Fargo. I worked at Rite Aid one time. I worked at a campground once. And then actually right before COVID hit and when I was doing the acting thing, I was actually working for a construction company.
Wow.
Solar development in the area.
Okay.
I was working and doing construction, building fences and stuff like that, which is like, hard physical labor.
Yeah.
Which
You don't seem
sucked.
like the type that
Yeah.
would like that.
Yeah,
No
I did.
offense to you.
I didn't. I mean, I enjoyed the physical aspect of it, being able to like be busy all day, like physically was really like rewarding to me because I've always enjoyed like exercise and those type of things. But yeah, no, it sucked. Yeah, I very much prefer waking up in my like bathrobe all day and just like making TikToks.
Yeah, I would enjoy that.
Yeah.
But if you weren't a content creator, what would you do? Any of those things?
I really don't know. I don't, because I'm definitely someone who embraces, I like to embrace, like, when something passionate or a new idea comes up, like, I love the thought of embracing it. Like, I never want to be someone that looks back on his life and is like, oh, I should have done that. I was really passionate about music. I really should have learned how to play guitar. I would much rather dump everything I'm doing and just go learn how to play guitar. And for me, the benefit and the downside of that is like, oh, people are like, I wish I was more artistic. I wish I had that kind of passion. I wish I was willing to take that risk. And it's like, yeah, absolutely. But you don't want to do what I had to do up until I was 30 years old, where I didn't have money. I couldn't make rent. Life was a struggle because I was constantly like, I wanted to be a cop at one point. So I went to school to be a police officer. I was testing for trying to become a cop. And I was like, never mind. Then I pursued the personal training. And then I realized my passion is for my own fitness and I'm not good at teaching others.
Right.
So I had to stop that. And then I was driven by sales, and then I realized I didn't want to have someone telling me what to do all day, so I gave up on that. And so it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. But I really don't know what I would be doing, but I'm sure I'd make it work.
I'm
sure.
sure.
whatever it was.
So in your current profession, you make a lot of connections on the day-to-day. How do you go about connecting with other local content creators?
I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. You know, you hit them up on Instagram, you hit them up on TikTok, and you're like, hey, you want to collab or what? And then, you know, hopefully they say yes. I recently did a collab with my buddy Tommy up in Boston,
Yep.
his buddy Prosciutto Poppy, as his handle goes. And they were awesome. They were really cool. It was a long time coming. And so far we've made I thought, some fun, quick hit content. We spent a lot of time getting to know one another
Right.
that day more than making content, but we have some dates set to link back up and make some more. So, and hopefully I'll be able to link up with even more creators in the area.
So is that kind of like how every interaction goes? Like you link up, like do you always like try to get to know each other, or is it sometimes just strictly business, like just make content?
Yeah, I mean, so far it's been kind of linking up and getting to know one another. I
Yeah.
haven't run into anyone that is like, oh, I really want to like treat this like a business. Here's your script. This is what I want you to
Right.
do. It's kind of more like a, hey, this is my artistic abilities. Here's yours. How can we incorporate one another in our videos?
Right.
And, you know, you kind of go from there.
Nice.
Do you find that the videos hit harder on one page versus the other? Like if you post the same video that Tommy posted, would
Yeah.
it hit differently, you think?
Yeah, I mean, everyone's algorithm, everyone's TikTok page is just different, you know, and especially like right now, TikTok is under a lot of is in hot water, you know,
Right.
so it's really hard to be popular and go viral and do stuff. And you know, this is the part that is tough about it, is you do have to kind of swallow your pride and know that not everything is going to be viral, even when you know it's good content. And that part is definitely difficult, and it is stressful because, you know, I just traveled for 7 or 8 days throughout Europe, and I made quick hit videos just to make sure that my page didn't completely die out for 7 or 8 days. But, you know, it took away a little bit from my vacation, being slightly stressed about that. But, you know, not everything is going to be viral. So it might do really good on my page or his page, and you never really know. But you try not to overthink it too much.
Right.
What is the cringiest DM you've ever received? And I know that you have.
Oh my
a
gosh.
bunch.
I got to be honest with you. It really never gets too bad. It really doesn't. A lot of people, they kind of more reply to whatever my video is in like a relatable fashion. They're like, oh, this is so funny. My mom used to be just like that. My dad used to be like that. Or, you know, oh, I love Iggy's. Oh, thank you for making that video. Or this is super relatable. I haven't gotten anything like too crazy. And again, this goes back to that acquired taste thing. And this is me being totally honest. A lot of people would be like, oh, you must get a lot. I don't get a lot of female attention in my DMs. I genuinely don't. And anytime anyone has ever, made a pass at me, I always say, I appreciate it. I'm incredibly flattered, but I do have a girlfriend, so I'm going to say no and go from there. I mean, and everyone's always been super respectful and replied. No one's like, you're an idiot. You should, what a loser. Why would you try?
Right.
It's never been anything like that. So, and I wish I had like a really juicy story.
Like you would definitely have one.
I think honestly, because of how old I am, I think that's why I don't get like, I'm 31 and I don't have like a young demographic of people who are constantly like in the DMs, like sending me weird shit or trying to do dumb stuff or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I see some stuff from other people, but they're 23, 24, so their demographic is younger than mine. So the younger demographic might watch mine, but someone who's 19 is probably not going to be like, let me DM this 31-year-old dude.
Never know.
I mean, it's definitely possible, but I've been super lucky not to get anything that's like super weird. There is one lady who constantly sends me like conspiracy YouTube videos, and I don't know why, because she doesn't even follow me, but I've never watched any of them.
Maybe it's a fan.
I've never watched any of them, but I'm starting to think it's you. This is what this question is all about.
You'll never know.
I want to know if he sees my DM.
I guess you'll never know. But I feel like the comments with like, oh, I missed that. I was walking my fish. Can you do it again? Like the thirst traps, they have to make you laugh. I read them and I'm like, this is
the
terrible.
comments are some of the funniest things, like the things that people will say, and I think the people who actually end up enjoying it the most is like, I'll repost like the photo shoots that I do, because I'll do photo shoots trying to land book covers, and then I'll tag the photographers in the post, and then they'll come back and they'll be the ones messaging me like, oh my God, did you see what this person said? Did you see what that? And they are very creative. They're super funny, and it's very entertaining.
How do you deal with like the hate comments that you get?
Do
you just like laugh it off?
Yeah, I mean, like I'm human, so I'm not gonna sit here and try and be super macho and be like, oh, I don't care what people say. like of course it hurts my feelings. I don't like to see negative things said about me.
Right.
You know, but I also understand that not everyone's going to enjoy my content. Not everyone's going to think it's funny. Not everyone likes me, you know, and that's just the truth of it. And that's a reality you have to face. And when people say negative things, you just be like, you know, you read it and you're kind of like, well, that was really mean. You don't know me to say something like that. But at the same time, not to be cliche, but how hurt are you that
Right.
you're taking
Right.
time out of your day to comment on a stranger's post rather than just scrolling? You know, there's plenty of buttons that say, don't show me this guy again. You can block me, but you spent the time to comment on it. It's kind of more like, you know, how much are you hurting? Or,
Right.
you know, and some people are just like that. And it's
Yeah.
just, you know, at the end of the day, I'm just like, you know, fuck you. And that's it.
Yeah.
Either way,
you
they're-
kind of move on from it.
They're growing your engagement. on
Yeah,
your
exactly.
page,
You know,
so-
you look at it and you can find the positives in it. You know, try and spin it a little bit and
For sure.
say, hey, well, you're helping my engagement. So,
That's a good FU.
yeah.
I would say. But I want to talk about something very important.
Okay, let's do it.
Phoebe.
Mm.
I want to know all about
Little
Phoebe.
Phoebsters.
So tell people who Phoebe is.
Phoebsters is my mini dapple dachshund. She's
His
adorable.
little wiener.
It's my little wiener. She's adorable. I post her on my story quite often.
She is so cute.
Actually, ironically, my one of my girlfriend's clients, she's an esthetician, so one of her clients came in and she was showing her pictures, and she was like, "Oh, this is so cute. We've been talking about getting a dog." So she had this breeder that was in Texas that goes by referrals only. So we got the referral. We ended up getting little Phoebsters, and she's just a little menace to society. She looks so cute in pictures. I tell you, she
So
yaps
cute.
all day.
Really?
She does. I've grown up like I had cocker spaniels and Labradors growing up. So I've always like those are very well. Cocker spaniels bark a lot, but like
Yeah.
Labradors, for example, like that was like my main dog kind of growing up,
Yeah.
where it was like the age where I was able to like play with her and like
Mhm.
train her. And you know they're looking for guidance. They want to be like trained, and it was very easy to train her. You know. But like I've never had a small dog before,
Right.
and I never realized like wow, they just don't listen. They
Yeah.
want to cuddle. They're so cute, but then like if someone comes in the house, like their ankles are gonna get bit a little bit.
Mhm.
You got to be careful touching them, and when they go outside, they're just gonna bark at everything that they see.
Oh yeah. How old is she?
She is now a year.
Oh,
Year-
wow.
She's
year-
still a baby.
Yeah, she's still
Yeah.
a baby. You know, but I'm sure a lot of people, if anyone, you know, whoever sees that part, is gonna be like, well, you didn't do a good job training. I tried, but I
No,
didn't do
I
a good
feel
job.
like that's a common thing with little dogs.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, she has a
Definitely.
yard now.
Yes, she
which
has a
didn't
yard,
have before.
which she didn't have before, so she's been running around and she
So
loves
she'll
it.
get tired.
Yes.
Way faster.
I don't know, because I've seen a lot of like mixed reviews. People say like if you have them outside running all the time, it actually just makes them more energetic.
Oh, geez.
Really?
It's like building up their stamina.
Oh jeez.
It's like it doesn't really tire them out. She can nap anytime. I mean, she's a sleepy little girl. She
I
loves her
love
naps.
Phoebe.
Yeah.
She is what I actually go to your page for, not anything else. Just Phoebe.
We're just
You
here
know,
for
there's
Phoebe.
I get some DMs like that all the time. Like more Phoebe, please.
Yeah.
More
They're like
pictures.
less.
I
of you.
like
Yeah,
her name.
less of you, more Phoebe.
Did you name her after Friends?
I did. named her
Okay.
after Friends.
She's
Yeah.
never seen Friends.
I've never
by
seen
the way.
I know the gist of it. I basically know what happens. I mean,
No, that's atrocious on your end. But
I'll get to it.
Well, here's the
eventually.
thing. I wasn't a fan of Friends. I wasn't a fan of Friends, and then I started dating my girlfriend, and she was like, "No, trust me, you have to watch Friends. Like, you love The Office. I'm obsessed with The Office, really.
Yep.
But she was like, you're gonna like Friends. I was like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. And I mean, it takes like 4 episodes, but by the 5th, like you're obsessed. And now, like every night, like Monday is Friends going to bed, Tuesday is The Office, Wednesday,
Yep.
and then we got into New Girl, and that.
Oh, I
was-
love New Girl.
Let me ask you guys a question. Let me flip it back on you.
Okay.
What would be your perfect round table of characters? Like if there were like people that you could like sit at a table with and talk or like hang out with
from any show.
from like any shows. Like
How
who would it
many?
be? Doesn't matter. I mean, if you've got a lot of characters.
I would definitely pick Rachel from Friends as one of them.
Okay.
I would do Schmidt from New Girl.
Yes.
I would pick Jax Teller from Sons of Anarchy.
Okay. I was thinking more like funny, not like who's really
Well,
hot.
No,
you know,
but he can
I'm-
like
I'm kidding. I'm
he's a
kidding.
badass.
I would
He
do
is.
Aubrey Plaza's character in Parks and Rec.
Never did Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. If you like The Office, you'll like Parks and Rec.
That's what everyone says, and I
Yeah.
watched about an entire season, and I just never.
Because you know what?
You know what I like-
First season.
Yeah, you know what I like
Exactly.
more is the Chris Pratt bloopers.
Those
are
are
the
hilarious.
funniest.
Hysterical.
Those are hilarious.
When they break character, like the blooper reels are a lot funnier to me than the actual.
Yeah.
maybe I'll give it a try.
I would also pick Joey from Friends. He's
Okay.
hilarious.
He is.
And Chandler, because they kind of go hand in hand.
That's the thing with Friends. Like every time you watch it, like each season or each episode, you have like a new favorite character.
Okay.
Because they did such a good job with the ensemble that like every character is so pivotal to the story that you can't just be like, oh, this show would be better without Chandler, because Chandler makes everything funnier for Joey, but then Joey makes everything funnier for Ross, and Ross can't exist without Rachel,
Yep.
and you just can't have Friends without Phoebe.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So continue with your round
What
table.
else? Anyone from The Sopranos?
Oh, The Sopranos. Christopher.
Okay.
I love Christopher.
I would pick Dan Scott from One Tree Hill, which is a very controversial take because he's the villain in
Gotcha.
the show, but I adore him.
You like what you like?
I like what I like.
The Office is like kind of hard because there's so many good ones,
Right.
but I feel like Michael Scott.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
as much as like he bothers me in so many episodes, he's just like he's so funny.
Really, Michael Scott bothers you?
He's so infuriating sometimes. I'm like, oh,
Yes,
like,
I relate to that.
And what capacity? Like, I'm so curious.
just
He's
like.
just kind of like nothing's going on up here, and that just like.
But then he
Oh,
has
okay.
those moments.
my favorite
though.
part.
He's so like he
No.
means so well and he's so caring. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like he is great.
Yeah.
He's so silly.
Who would yours be?
Yeah, mine would be Michael Scott, Dwight Schrute,
Okay.
Joey and Ross.
Oh, Ross.
Yeah. Ross might be the most comedic physical actor of a sitcom to ever exist.
His voice.
Like if you think about his screaming and his ability
Oh
to
my
like
God.
switch with facial expressions, it's unreal. Then I would have Nick Miller,
I love
Schmidt,
Nick.
and I would have Phil Dunphy. If I could have a round table of
I
those,
love-
I would die from losing oxygen from laughing, just from those people interacting with one another.
Phil Dunphy's the best. Modern Family, growing up watching that show, oh my gosh. It was just like,
Rafe
Oh
Cameron.
yeah, Drew Starkey. I would most definitely love a roundtable. with.
Yeah.
But only Drew Starkey.
Yeah.
Just
Just
me and
him.
at dinner.
no,
like,
I would take the entire Outer Banks cast.
Okay, I never watched Outer Banks.
No, you're not missing.
You're not missing anything. The cast is great, but like the plot and storyline
ass.
is not
Yeah.
great.
It is
Yeah.
Is the cast great because of how attractive everyone
Yes,
is, or because
exactly.
okay?
Well,
I wasn't sure. I mean, listen, I'm on TikTok, so like I see what everyone
Oh,
like
yeah.
straps like
Flag
straps
on
over.
the play. Rafe Cameron, Drew Starkey, is a phenomenal actor.
No, he is.
plays
Okay.
He is.
like a severely troubled person, and it's assumed that he has bipolar disorder, but
Okay.
it's not said.
Okay.
So he just does such a good job of like going through all the motions of being manic and then being normal and then being like depressed. So he's phenomenal. Everyone else is just like meh.
Yeah.
They're on a treasure hunt on the
Right.
beach.
Right.
I could do that, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, I feel
I
like
think we could.
survive.
For
We
sure.
could do it.
I'm gonna add two more.
Yes.
Marty Bird and Ruth Langmore from Ozark.
Yes.
Okay. I
yes.
see. Ozark, I never got into,
Oh,
but I've heard that, and I am like
Me
regretful
too.
because I am a huge Bateman fan, and
Yeah,
I do
me
love
too.
I do love very good acting, but I heard that it's like kind of like dark in like its own way.
It is.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't do scary movies and I don't do dark.
Well,
Mostly because when I watch television, I like it to be like mindless entertainment, and I prefer to laugh.
Okay.
oh yeah.
You know what I
Ozark,
mean? Like-
you have to pay attention.
Yeah.
to what's
Right,
going on.
that's what I'm saying. And like I pick and choose those battles, and like for me, like Vikings and like Peaky Blinders has that aspect of really like. But let me tell you something. I didn't leave the couch for a month when I started Peaky Blinders. So I was like, when I was done, like I came out and I was like, this is why I made all these videos, because I thought I was part of. Peaky-
You're in the
like,
yeah. You're
like
in
I was going to
character.
the store and Abby was like, Ian, can you please change? Like yes, it's
We live in
stylish, but like
America.
we just need to go get bananas and eggs. So like,
Right.
change your clothes. And I'm, and she's like, and put like the razor down. You don't need to have a razor in your hat.
Yeah.
You're not gonna hurt anyone. Like,
Yeah, just keep it just in case.
yeah.
You never know.
Marty Bird. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I would add him too.
yeah, but like I've always personally like, and like I feel like my actual like outer personality is very much Schmidt.
Okay.
Like I'm
yeah.
very like loud, boisterous, very like manic, hands and facial expressions always going. But my brain is very much like Nick Miller.
Yep.
Like utmost. What is utmost?
The two of them combined would be like it's like the perfect person.
Oh,
Like, well, okay.
What you do?
Sorry.
no, I'm kidding. That's so funny. But yeah, like yeah, 100%. I love those two characters. And what's so funny is like I feel like New Girl, it's supposed to, like it's really based around Jess.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole like plot of it. And I feel like because of that, a lot of people don't give it a chance. But Nick Miller and Schmidt are two of the most perfected sitcom characters to ever exist, and they they're just passed over.
Yeah.
Like oh yeah, like I watch New Girl. I'm like, no, do you really watch it and see?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's like it's a manifestation of The Office, Parks and Rec, and Friends, like all put into one, in
Right.
my opinion, personally. But
Totally agree. So we have another question for you.
yeah,
Very, very important, so
This is-
answer carefully.
Is Connecticut part of New England?
no,
No.
of course it is. Connecticut is beautiful. So here's the thing: I grew up in Westerly. So
yeah.
I grew
You're
up
right there.
Eastern Connecticut.
Yep.
So I have a lot of friends in Stonington, Connecticut. Some of my first jobs, I worked at the Crystal Mall in Waterford. All my friends growing up in high school, they all worked for Electric Boat, which is in New London.
Yep.
My best friend lives in New London right now. I grew up going in and about all throughout Connecticut. Clyde Cider Mill, which is in Connecticut.
I've been there,
Stonington,
yep.
Beautiful. Connecticut is honestly like very beautiful. The troubling part and why it's like easy to pick on is because most people from New England only use it for the highway. You know what I mean? So they're only like on the waterside border of 95 going down. But Connecticut is huge. Like if you go north of New Haven, you go up towards Hartford and heading towards Massachusetts and Springfield in that area, there's beautiful mountains, there's incredible restaurants. And of course everyone goes to like the casinos because they're fun and they're entertaining, but like that's not really what Connecticut is. But it's just easy to pick on because it's like half New York, half New England.
Well, that's just it. It's not New England to me because
Okay.
if you can root for any other team other than the Patriots, you're
Right.
not New England.
Oh, okay.
They root for
That's
they
fair.
root for
They're
the
like-
Jets
they're
and the
split, yeah.
Giants, and you very rarely have people who vote for the Patriots.
But don't you have a little bit of sympathy for them to be like Jets fans?
No, you have a New England team and it's the Patriots. Why are you choosing to be Giants fans?
Well, they're also part of the tri-state area, which is like really odd. Like it's got to be one or the other. You can't be part of the tri-state and New England.
I don't like Connecticut. I hate it, and
You heard it here first.
I will openly say that I hate Connecticut. I've met a lot of people there. Questionable. Very questionable.
Have you ever been to Mystic? It's beautiful.
Yeah, Mystic's nice.
Mystic is really nice.
The
Mystic Pizza,
aquarium.
the aquarium.
I went
Mystic
to
Aquarium, shout out Mystic Aquarium. They always comment whenever I give Connecticut
Huh?
8. They're the first people to comment on it and be like, yo, what's up with that?
Well, sponsor.
I mean, they say a lot more than yo, what's up with that. but-
Yeah.
I've been to Madison. Not
Okay.
bad.
Not bad.
I've been to Lyman Orchards, which is a good apple farm,
Right,
golf
right.
I have
course.
family that lives in Clinton. They have the outlets, which
The
I
outlets
like.
in Clinton
The
are
outlets
nice,
are
yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
But they're from Rhode Island, so they're cool.
Okay.
Yeah, they're from Rhode Island.
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
like
Connecticut
snow.
drivers are definitely not. But, pretty much everyone's a bad
It's just
driver
the
besides me,
two-lane
as far as I'm
highway.
concerned.
just drives
It
me
takes
crazy.
3 hours to get through Connecticut.
Yeah.
Why? That is just not necessary, in my opinion. So that's how I feel.
Well, that's
We're
that's
losing
it.
all. Nobody from
In
Connecticut
case-
is going to listen to the
If
podcast.
anybody wanted to know how I felt about Connecticut, that's it.
that needs to be the clip that you guys cut up for her. Just how much she hates Connecticut.
Just on her
no,
rant.
no.
How do you feel about Connecticut? You didn't say?
No, I know, but I don't like to give a lot of hate. My boyfriend's currently in Connecticut for school, so we're like giving it a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Where's he
leaving.
going to school?
You're such a liar. You're such a liar.
He goes to University of Bridgeport. He's in the chiropractic program.
Oh, okay,
So it's like
nice.
grad school. So
Nice.
we've been there for like the past 3 years. So like one more year, and then we're out of there. Gotta
Okay.
Get out of there.
All right.
Every
But-
time she's there, I fucking hate Connecticut. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I gave it a chance, though. We did give it
Well,
a chance.
Bridgeport is like is
area-
an iffy area. You know
Yeah,
what I
we
mean?
don't really venture out a lot
Right.
when I'm there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
big no for me.
So Ian, do you have any exciting big things coming up that you can tell us about?
At the moment, not really. I mean, I think everything that I'm like able to do like right now is pretty exciting for me. So like working with Nesson, working with Duncan, and all that kind of stuff is really cool. I mean, like that's the extent of kind of where I'm at. But that's the thing with this industry particularly. You know, things come in out of left field
Right.
when they're least expected from brands you didn't think were even watching your stuff. So anything could happen at any moment. But right now, I'm just kind of cruising along and seeing what happens next.
No acting gigs lined up.
I haven't really pursued a ton of my acting stuff recently just because I've been keeping my focus here.
Right.
Also because I am part of the SAG SAG, which is the Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah.
So I am part of the union there, and it is a way to. It's definitely a more beneficial way to make a living if you were doing just like typical background acting. But at this point, just like in my career, I've done like a substantial amount of background work, and I'm kind of just looking for more principal roles or day players, speaking roles, trying to further my career in that aspect. So I haven't taken on a ton of roles because those haven't really come across my computer screen in quite some time, unfortunately. So, but we'll see.
Nice.
Before we move on to the next thing,
Yes.
we're gonna do a quick kick check. Show your kicks.
Oh.
Fresh. Fresh.
Thursday Boot Club.
I have a black sock with white shoes.
Yeah.
But
My Nike Dunks. They
Oh,
have
yeah.
like a suede finish, very neutral. It will go with any outfit.
I do love those. These are Jordan 1 Elevates.
Wow.
You can get those on Nike.
They're on sale right now for anybody that wants them.
Nike, sponsor us.
Yeah.
Anyway, I really had to show off my shoes. They're brand new out of the box today.
Wow.
All right, we're going to play a fun game.
Fun games. Let's do it.
And I just want you to rattle off whatever comes to your mind.
All right. We might have to clip this because who knows? We're just
Nope.
going to have intrusive thoughts.
We're letting it go. TikTok or Instagram?
TikTok.
Decaf or regular coffee?
Decaf.
Oh,
You heard it here first, people.
I'm very wound up already.
oh boy.
Caffeine make me nuts.
Newport or Narragansett? Neither.
Yeah, not Narragansett.
Okay, what
Yeah.
would you pick instead?
I mean, I grew up in Westerly, so
Oh,
like
wow.
Watch Hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Taylor Swift. Little
Yeah,
Taylor
T
Swift.
Swift.
Oh, Swifty coming
Swiftie,
out
yeah.
again. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay.
Patriots or Bruins?
Patriots.
OnlyFans or Feet Finder?
OnlyFans.
Oh. Thirst Trap or New England content?
New England content. 100%.
All right. Clear clam chowder or white?
Oh, come on. White New England chowder. Always.
Okay. I'm glad you're on that page because red is not a thing in my book.
Yeah, no.
Neither's clear.
Yeah.
But
I've been arguing that for quite some time.
no, absolutely not. Well, Ian, thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on the Not Safe for Work podcast.
Yeah, thank you so
you.
much for having me. I appreciate it.
Woo.
Woohoo!
That's a wrap.
Let's go.